Morning or afternoon.
Yeah, yeah, it's been crazy today.
Yeah, thanks.
That's for sure.
Hold up on it. Hard life. Okay. Damn spam callers, man. They are crazy. So
Oh yeah,
I am trying to pull up the video real quick so I can see all the.
man, I just came back from outside. I'm like, man, my hair looked like that.
Yeah. Nah. We only got a few people on right now. We'll give it a few minutes
Okay.
to let them get signed on. Hmm.
Wonder
Ooh.
how I can mute this thing real quick. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. All right. We got a few people. John, Night Hunter, John Darnell, Ray, what's up, gents? How y'all doing? Got Rachel Caballero online with us. We'll get up to about 10 or 15 people. Oh, shoot, we're already at 15, 17, right up in there. Right on. All right, guys. So, quick little rundown. They voted no to the House bill yesterday for SpaceX down in South Padre to not have control over that section of beach, correct?
Yes, they voted no 7-6 out of 15.
But
Two were not present.
oh, so that's why they're putting it basically back up because they could have said that one could have
It's
gone
fine.
either way if those other two were there basically now.
I think I think one of the guys that was not present is a pro Musk guy. So I think he wanted to be able to make it a tie and then make the chair maybe break the tie. I don't know how this works, honestly. But the chair, he's the last to vote and he voted against yesterday.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Wow. Well, so again, guys, what I did on this video, I actually did a preemptive strike. I went ahead and copied everything from the Surfriders
Okay.
post too, because I went back to find yours. I found that one first, so I copied everything on there.
Perfect.
So it's in the description, guys, here where you can copy and paste everybody's email, and in a separate portion, you copy and paste that to basically you can do it in a few minutes, real quick. Copy paste and get everybody in those emails that needs to be notified to tell them to vote against it. Again, guys, it is one person.
Yep.
One person changes their mind on this thing, and we lose the beach, guys. So it is not. I saw that, and I was just thinking in my head, I was like, dude, this is how they get you. They
Yep.
pretend one day that okay, our guard is down, and then that's when they get you. And then one person that probably voted no today will vote yes tomorrow.
Hmm.
So,
I mean, and they could, that's why, those right state representatives and all those people rely so heavily on lobbyists because the lobbyists are practically bribing them to vote in their favor, right?
mhm.
And so the issue is that did somebody get to one of them to where they're going to change their vote? Is this I had to make a few phone calls because I'm like, is this normal? Like, you guys already voted on it. And apparently it is, which I need to look into because I really don't feel like it's fair. Like, because then we would have walked away yesterday going like, hey, we won this one, guys. Woohoo. And then come to find out that no, we didn't. And like,
Yeah.
how can they do that? But it's like I was telling you, I went to the state capitol and it's chaos over there. Nobody knows what the other person is doing. They're running around like they're chickens, their heads cut off. There's no rhyme or reason to how they read the bills. I mean, look at this. They voted on it. Now they're bringing it back. Like, what, isn't there some sort of protocol to all this? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And also for you guys that are interested in, which I'm not, but if those of you that are interested in the Bass Pro Shop, what's happening with that here in Corpus, guess what? Bass Pro Shop was a no-show to go looking at properties here.
That's good.
It's good
That's
for
good.
us But I
Yeah.
told you from the beginning that that was just a political tactic from the mayor.
A political tactic for what?
Well,
Uh,
whenever she was running for her reelection, she's like, "Look what I'm doing. I'm bringing in economic development. I'm bringing
uh,
in Bass Pro Shop." But the thing is, she didn't talk to anybody. Nobody on the council knew that she was talking to Bass Pro Shop.
so I heard a little hearsay, and it was from a little bird that says that his uncle is part of the board members, and he said that it's very true. I was
What?
like, ouch, that Bass Pro was supposed to be coming over here to look
Mm,
for that. And so I was like, dude, I was like, he goes, dude, he's part of their like one of the big wigs of that where they decide where to go and this and that. But he goes, but again, too, they'll only come if the money is there for them to come. If they don't, if they're not being sugar daddy,
right.
they ain't gonna become. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
considering the $7 million deficit that they currently have for the next budget cycle, we can't afford it. We don't have the money for it to give them.
so that was one of the biggest things. I don't know if you saw. Somebody shared the post of when I came out with Channel Three, and like I
I
said, I'm
saw it.
not. You know, I'm all for the city growing, but it's got to be done right. Everybody gets treated fairly. You know what I mean? Us small businesses that have been, you know, scraping by, you know, tooth and nail, trying to keep our businesses open, and to see other businesses get all these discounts, all these tech promotions, and this and that, and like, shoot, I'd like to go up there and tell the board, hey, man, I want taxpayer money so I can buy a new building and reset
Hmm.
everything back up, buy property and everything, and then, you know, years later, tell them, hey, I need more money so I can do upgrades and stuff like that. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I saw a deal where uh, the American Bank Center. It was all over the news that they were going to go out there and request more money for the VIP booths because they haven't
Hmm.
had no upgrades in 10 years. I'm like, okay, well, I can understand that. It was like a Boys and Girls Club where we get access for free as taxpayers, as kids. They go out there, they get to spend all day, and they get, you know, all of this, and they need money to upgrade, you know, basically the social services that are provided to have kids being watched and while the parents are at work. I can understand that. But this is a paid venue that we pay arm and a leg to get into. We pay an arm and a leg for the food that's in there. Who's
Hmm.
making all that profit? Why aren't they reinvesting into their own business like I have to reinvest in my own business?
OVG. And you know how many people competed against OVG to try to get that spot there at American Bank Center? None, because Peter Zanoni, the city manager, never took it out to RFP to get RFPs. So that he basically handed this over to this group who has sucked at it.
So what is that company that is in charge of it? So basically, they're making profit off of it, but they want us to be charged to maintain it and stuff like that because they say it's a venue for sporting events and stuff like that. I mean, how does that even compute? Because I mean, shit, I can complain. My business is a sporting event. People come out here, you know, to spend money and this and that. I make a profit, and granted, I don't charge an arm and a leg like every other tackle shop does, you know, kind of deal. But again, too, I'm so far away from the water, I can do that. I could charge a little bit less and still make enough profit. Like I'm obviously I'm not a millionaire.
Right. Well, I think that the big, I don't want
But
to,
like,
I know that these guys are really want to know about this, but basically what happened at the house is it's super shady. Super shady because the bill had already been done and now they're trying to push it through again. So I talked to Surf Riders Association, I've talked to Chispa, Texas, I've talked to um what's the other one? The Sierra Club. And so we've
mhm.
all sent out that email, and I sent out one from the Protect Beach Access email this morning too. And we just need for you guys to either make the phone calls. I did the phone calls in 10 minutes this morning. It took me a minute, 10 or 15 minutes, I'd say it took me to make all the phone calls to the different representatives. And this vote is too close. I know we keep saying, hey, email, but today is the day to email. That vote, that hearing starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So if you don't get to it till after 5 today, that's fine. As long as that email or phone call is there, Penny is there whenever they get into the office. Hold on, sorry.
Now, and again, like she's saying, it's extremely important because right now they are probably hoping that everybody lets down their guard. That it already failed. It should fail again. No, just takes one person on that board to sit there and sway their mind, and then they're like, "Oh no, you saw where I voted against it." Yeah, on their initial one, but we need to let them know that we are still paying attention to what they are doing and that they need to vote against this because again, we have to be concise on what we're telling them that we will be paying attention, especially when it comes to voting their butts in or out of office. Again, you know what I mean? It's these people are voting into office, so we do have a say so. It may not happen now, but it will eventually happen when they're voted uh, out of their spot on that council. So
well, and that's the reason why I always include that verbiage in whenever I send things out, because at the end of the day, that's all they care about is getting reelected. They don't care about us. They care about getting reelected. So if we put that in there and say, hey, we're going to remind people. We're going to remind people whenever your reelection time is coming.
Yep, and we are, and that's a major portion that I see that we ought to put in there. You know, we know who voted the first time and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I have that documentation too. Trust me.
That is extremely important. And is there any way you can put that out in an email again so we can copy and paste it so we can call them out? Hey, we know
it's in the email.
So voted against this. You know what I mean, or for it.
Yeah.
So we can let them know, hey, we're going to be paying close attention to what y'all are doing. So that way we can decide to vote you out at a later date, kind of deal.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in the Protect Beach Access email.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to clean up over here. We got a bunch of weights I got to get out for a weight order. Okay. I've been working on that deal for Fishing Tackle Unlimited. And then again, too, testing out different crimpers and sleeves and all of that is something else that we've been doing too. Because obviously, as things evolve with the leaders and the size of mono and the crimpers that are out there, sometimes we find out that they don't last very long. You know what I mean? So I need to, again, it's always R&D here at the shop. Every day it's R&D, trying to figure out what's going to work for us and what isn't.
R&D.
The what?
R&D? I don't know what R&D is. Sorry.
Research and development.
I probably should have known that. I'm telling you what, this beach thing has been just a little bit of a nightmare and a rude awakening to the chaos that is happening. All right, this is happening at the state level. Killer dog over here. Hold on one second.
I'm gonna go grab my thing of weights real quick. Sit down for a minute.
Come here, Penny. Come here. Well, she was barking because there's somebody at the door. Come on in. How you doing? Good. If you guys don't mind to please send out those emails today, we really need your help. This is like the last hoorah on this bill. And the hard part of it is if we give a little bit away, we've already given away a little bit of our beaches. Penny, we've already given away a chunk of our beaches down in Brownsville with Boca Chica. He's already taken advantage of it down there. He's closed the beach 100 days, which he was only supposed to do it for, I think it was like 30. He had 30 times he was supposed to do it. So he's already exceeded that. There's so many videos of just all, like, you can't even just drive up to the beach because it's all like, it looks industrial, right? So I'm just asking you guys to please, please, please send out this email, and let us know. I mean, if you have any questions, and I will try to text Albert as soon as I find out about the bill tomorrow, when they read it or vote on it again. Hopefully, because this is the thing, and I'll leave on this note. But what I'm figuring out is if they aren't getting community lashback, then they're passing it.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the more lashback that they get, it forces their hand. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why
Because
the emails are so important. And we're not asking you to go to Austin. We're not asking you to go to public comment. We're not asking anybody to do any of that. All we're asking for is phone calls and emails, please.
do both.
Or do
Do
both. I
both.
did both this morning.
If you really can, do both, because that way it's a verbal reminder and an actual email reminder where they can sit there and yeah. And to be honest, being honest, more likely they're not going to read the email, but their secretary or this and that will tell
They're
them,
right.
"Hey, man, that you got 300 emails of people against this kind of deal,"
Yeah. Yep.
and by that, they have to answer the phones and they have to check those emails. It has a black and white that, hey, these are all voters, whether they're in our state or not in our state, but they come and spend money in our area. You know, this is stuff that can affect them and their ability to continue remaining in office. So it is important to not give them an inch, guys, because
Yep.
they've already took that mile with that first inch. I don't want to give them the rest of our beaches.
Yep. I mean, because you're looking at potentially the way that this thing is worded, like he could go up into Matagorda, because that fits the profile. I mean, it's just it's bad. So anyway, I got to get back to it over here, guys. But thanks again, Albert, for helping us with this fight. It's all our fight. It's our fight. It's not just mine. It's not the surf riders. It's not the environmental groups. This is the communities. I mean, the beaches were full this weekend, and of course, I'm thinking like, oh, we've got this in the bag. Had I known, I would have handed out information at the beach, but here we are. Hindsight's 2020. um so if you guys, I put that protectbeachaccess@gmail.com in the comments, and if you guys can forward that to anybody who loves the beach, and I can send them who to email, that would be great. And thank you again, Albert, and then we'll be in
Yes,
touch.
thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much for coming on
Okay.
and sharing that info. We'll see
All
you
right,
later.
we'll see you later, and thank goodness that that Bass Pro was a no show for the tour. We don't The city doesn't have the money to give them anyway, so.
That or they could play that game of just showing up unannounced kind of deal. Like I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I don't ever push anything by these.
I know. In that world, it's considered bad taste because they're coming from out of town and stuff. I don't know that they would do that, but we'll see. The media seems to be It seems to be a catch story for the media, so they're updating people. But all right, guys, have a good one.
All
See you
right, later,
later.
Rachel. Bye. All right, guys. So, um, I was building the three-way short big black drum leaders. These are some of the leaders that, like I said, originally pitched to Fishing Tackle Unlimited to carry a bunch of our gear because obviously, when you go looking for our tackle, you're looking for everything we have that might fit your fishing needs. Now, again, too, they bought into a certain amount, and as I sat there and I started demonstrating a lot more, they bought into a lot more gear. However, it's still nowhere where I feel very represented, is the best way I could put it. Like there's a lot of gear that I have that they did not bring in or didn't put on the order. I'm gonna take all of that as a precursor to, hey, when I sit down and meet with y'all again, I can show y'all everything's already all barcoded and everything, so it's ready to go. It ain't like they would have to wait any longer. But this barcode deal has been a pain in the butt all the way around. A lot of it has to do with Amazon too. They said my gear was supposed to ship 3 weeks ago. I was supposed to get it 2 days later because I have Amazon Prime, so I had the free shipping, and I was supposed to get it 2 days later, and it didn't come. And that's when I needed it for that so I could take off, and then it didn't come in. Well, now it's almost 3 weeks later, and so I've reordered it. I've tried other paperwork to get it done, and I can get it done that other way, but it's going to take a lot of reinvesting into the time to make it happen and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that, guys. It is in the works. I did talk to Joe actually yesterday morning. He had an accident, and says I could still go up there if I'm ready, but like I said, the barcodes, I've got a bunch of the other gear that he wanted me to bring up there to demonstrate that doesn't have the barcode. So that's why I'm kind of waiting a little bit. So, oh wow. Hey, so that slime time, that ugly stick rod, that jig stick that you say you have, is that like a 5.5 foot, 6.5 foot rod? And does it have? And I'm pretty sure since it's a jigging, it doesn't have rollers on it, right? So it's and I'm the same way, Dusty. Like I can understand, for safety reasons and stuff like that, but it's got to be pertinent safety reasons. Obviously, like in Cape Canaveral when they had uh, the launches of the uh, space shuttles and stuff like that. There's danger. There's an inherent danger of the space shuttles blowing up or the aircraft blowing up and stuff like that, and I can understand that. And that's why they need a safety area. But again, too, I don't like the fact that they've already had a little bit of leeway and they've already been overstepping their bounds and closing too many days. That I have a problem with, and that's why it has to remain with the city officials there that have already been working with them, but they're the ones that you know can determine whether they stay open or not the SpaceX themselves, because they can truly consider that anything that's happening with their um, vehicles up in space as space travel or space flight. So again, too, they can permanently close it down. You know what I mean? And so it's real tough to sit there and read the verbiage and not truly look deep into it, because again, it's all in the fine print, guys. They have it set up where that fine print has so many loopholes in it, and it's not good for us. It definitely isn't. So, tiger. Oh, those tiger rods. Those are actually pretty nice, man. I like them rods. I liked them when they first originally came out because they had so many guides on them. It was pretty interesting. I liked it very, very much. So, but yeah, no, the like I said, the leader I was working on earlier was for or is for Fishing Tackle Unlimited, only because I didn't have any on the shelf, which is amazing. Normally we have like several hundred of them there ready to rock and roll, but uh, I didn't have that exact model in there, so I ended up having to set it up again to get it done. But again, I'm only making what I need it for. Dang it. For the order so I can get it out there as quickly as possible. So, but again, too, I was supposed to meet with them tomorrow morning, but I don't think that's going to happen just because of the barcoding issue. So, yeah, I feel you there, Rachel. It's sometimes pretty hard to sit there and focus on what I got to do, and again, too, I got to apologize too to my channel because I know I haven't been going live every day like I normally have been doing, but a lot of it has to do with what's going on with these orders and you know paying attention to transcribing. And I'll give you an example here. Give me a second. Where's that invoice? Show you all this way. So when I've created all my leaders, which are right there, this is the addition for those leaders. This is one of three that I've already had to do in addition to. And you can see the 6 footers, the 5 footers on there, the three-way short, three-way longs. And these are basically all the leaders. Like if they only ordered the casting leaders for the redfish, well, they need the three-way short and the three-way long. And then they also need them in coated cable. it all repeats the same process. And then the big black drum or the Jack Crevel, and if they order just one item of just to test, it does them no good. It's shooting themselves in the foot. Like, again, I don't have a shop where I can sit there and make tackle for it to just sit on the shelf just to take up space. Everything in here has to sell in order to make money, in order for me to keep my doors open. So I'm not going to sit there and have tackle sit on somebody else's shelf that is not going to sell. Now, obviously, everywhere is different. Some leaders may take off on that one specific one, and then others may not. But I don't want to sit there and assume to know all their clientele, and even for them too. Like they said, "Oh, we just started carrying this leader, and it took off," and like we didn't even know. I said, "That's exactly my point. How are y'all going to sit there and judge your clientele now from what it used to be 10, 20 years ago? Let's bring it all in and let your customers tell you what they want, what they need." So now, the barcoding situation, this is my barcode number for that deal. That number there is what I need to have on there, but it's going to become a barcode form. It's going to look like that. Okay? So, with that being said, I have to input all the leader information so that way when that barcode is scanned, it pulls up that information. So it is, each barcode is associated to each item. Now, with that being said, that's a lot of information to sit there and go from, a sheet of paper on there and an Excel program, print it out, and then to type it all in and make sure that if I'm off by one number, that barcode can lead to a totally different item, and it can cost me money and cost my customer money, which is Fishing Tackle Unlimited, to have losses. Or it could cost the customer, at the end of the day, the end user, money as well, because what if that one number put them on a bigger leader and they end up paying twice as much for it, and they don't know that actually happened? Or they'll sit there and say, "Damn, man, I paid $20 for this leader and it was only supposed to cost 10. It is extremely, extremely important on that note. So, all right.
I twisted and I felt a little and, there's a copy of it. That one for you?
Okay, yes. That just peace of mind. That's all I'm asking.
I don't mind doing it. Just for that reason, what you just said. If you want to just make a little file on it.
No, yes. I need to get more files, so I actually had to tape up the one for the checks because it was full of Portland.
I'll go get some when I get back.
Okay.
What am I doing?
Let's see. Trying to figure out the best reel paired with it.
What kind of rod?
The Tiger Rod, light jigging stick, the 5'10", which is 80 to 130 pound test. Those are real nice rods, but yeah, an 80 or 50 would work with it. I mean, granted, it is short and it's a little too short. Okay, now I actually fought my 9'5" Tiger with an 80 Avid on there, and it was a pin stand-up rod, and it was the same thing. It was actually 50 to 100 pound class rod, I think it was, and I did it like that, which again for land-based shark fishing it worked out for me. But the thing I did notice is it works against you because it's so short. When you're sitting there and you're harnessed in and you pull back, you're only pulling back a certain amount of footage. Now you add, another foot to it. When you go forward, and here's a prime example right here, like my short finger and long finger, right? You go forward, when you're pulling back, this one's going to get more footage. Just think of a circle in diameter, or the diameter of a circle. The bigger circle is going to have more footage go around and come in than compared to a smaller one. So that would be the only drawback at the end of the day. But if that's what you have to start, rock it, bro. Like, get out there and get some fish. Okay. Brian says, I'm selling a used Pen 3 and Pen 2 combo. What's a Pen 3 and a Pen 2? Are you talking about like a 3,000 or 2,000? I don't know what that is, boss. I said, just because I own a shop and I have a channel doesn't mean I know all the gear that's out on the market, guys. Especially if it's a spinning reel combo, I'm not real up to speed with a lot of that gear that's out on the market. So, Dusty, no, I did not. Let me check on that one. That actually, and just a heads up, I did get an update on the 80 T-Rex 3-speeds. Last week, Monday or Tuesday, they were supposed to get, actually it was Monday, they were supposed to get it Monday. The materials to make the gear, one of the gears, they're missing one gear to fully assemble them. Well, the metal that was supposed to be delivered last week didn't come out, and so it was actually supposed to be delivered yesterday or today, this week. So the 83 speeds are coming, guys. I originally ordered, I think it was 4 pinks and 4 orange. I think those are already sold out, but I found out they had a total of 7 of the pinks and the orange. But and again, too, like when I sold those out, and I heard that they were making more, I ordered 2 more of each. So, and in reality, what I'm going to be getting is 7 orange, 7 pink of the 3-speed 80 T-Rexes, as well as some red, green, and a blue, I think, or like 2 reds, 3 green, or 2 reds, 2 blue, 2 green, something like that. So again, guys, if you want those reels, you got to prepay for it. Like, the reason I'm saying that is because if they come in and I'm sitting there holding on to, I can't hold on to any of the reels. If you're making payments on it and somebody comes in and fully pays for it, just like the rods, they're going to get the reel first. So if you want to get it out of this batch, the best way to do it is to prepay for it, and that way I can have your reel on reserve. So the guys that have already prepaid for them, they're guaranteed a reel, but that's where we're at. So, well, I mean, you could, John, if you want it. I mean, there's nothing really holding you back. You do have funds here through your credit and stuff like that. So, a 3-speed conversion kit for what size? Oh, or did you already have a T-Rex? That might be something to look at. Dusty 2 color. Check on. John, it was great. Like, well, okay. It was fishing. At the end of the day, like I met a bunch of great people out there, and I shared a ton of knowledge. it was awesome, because it was an eye opener. My team guys, and even the prospects know that when I'm out there, I don't care who you are. If you're willing to listen and learn, I'm willing to teach. But it opened their eyes a lot more to understanding how the fishing community actually is and stuff like that. Because I mean, we also heard some things that like we're like, it's not good. I wouldn't be doing that, and um, just like about the types of bait they use and stuff like that. And I'm not going to say any names or anything, but we heard some things that we, at the end of the day, we're like, we don't approve of that. We don't do that. We will not do that, and I will explain why. And so we explained ourselves, and and they respect it, they understood it, but they also know where we're coming from. Like, we're not going to play that game. So, but when it came down to everything else, the amount of knowledge that I was kicking out there with the hollow core braid and splicing, why I'm using hollow core, why I use pantyhose, why, I mean, it was, for the guys that showed up and fished around our camps, it was a very big learning experience from them. But several of them didn't even know who I was. Like, they had heard, but they didn't really know until they actually got to fish alongside me, and everything I was showing them and how I was rigging, how I was doing this, how I was doing that was something that totally caught them by storm, which is great. I mean, that does just further reinforces our ground on why we have the YouTube channel here and why everybody watches. There's a lot of knowledge out there to be shared and learned and earned. And the great thing about it is I was able to share that information with them. But the only drawback was when I was rigging up all of that bait and stuff like that, and when all of that was happening, we didn't record a lot of it because I forgot my tripod and gimbal. I thought I had grabbed it, and we actually got all the way out there onto the beach. And so the whole first day and a half, I didn't have my gimbal or anything to record. So I was recording by hand. A lot of it was for the video shorts and stuff like that. So right now I'm still trying to get all the information online from the distance casting events that we had did. What was it, last month? Still trying to get all those videos out there because a lot of the guys that go there, they do enjoy the ability to go back and watch how they were casting on video, so that way it can help them improve their casting and stuff like that. So I definitely owe that to them because a lot of them went out there and casted, and they all are learning how to better critique themselves, so that way they can make the proper changes, so they can get those further distances. And even for the top guys too, they like it too because they can also see and reaffirm themselves that they know where they did wrong. But it's a whole nother learning process when you actually see it and actually see it being done rather than just hearing what you did. Sometimes it's a little easier to see it that way and stuff like that. Oh yeah, Dusty, the the seaweed was crazy. So sorry, I already have 382 speed T-Rexes. That would be love to convert 3 speeds and see if that would come out with the conversion kit. You know what? Speaking of that, I'm gonna text right now. How you doing?
For like a tie fast, it's called tie fast. It helps you tie knots fast. It's like metal, has a little hook on it.
No, don't have anything like that.
It's,
No. What kind of knots are you trying to tie?
well, it tells you how to tie the knot with it, so I'm not sure. Like, sure. Like one of those things.
I have seen them, but I've never
You don't sell them.
I've never sold a single one of them.
Okay.
But I will tell you this: I have a YouTube. I'm live on my YouTube channel, by the way.
Oh, nice.
We have a YouTube channel where we teach people how to tie those knots,
Okay.
and we do it real slow, step by step, step by step. But the way I do it too is like when I do a step, I'll go back and tie it again, and tie it again, and tie it again. So that way, if you miss it the first time, you just hold yourself there until I come back around and do it again, and then you catch up, and then like again too, because I'm a hands-on learner. I can see pictures and stuff like that, but at the same time being able to have it coached to you like that, you can learn how to tie a lot of knots. I do hollow core splicing, knots to the spool, knots to your leaders, snelling hooks and stuff like that. I've done all of it.
So I'm also looking for a specific kind of line. I'm fishing in the Babes on the Bay.
Roger that.
And I'm getting my folds ready. My grandpa told me to get that, and then he said, "Oh, I thought you sent me a picture of it. It's some fluorocarbon."
Fluorocarbon.
Fluorocarbon.
Yes, that's so that way when you're using either lures or live bait, it can help hide the line from the fish kind of deal. Um,
Do you sell any?
I normally do, but I want to say I don't have any in stock right now. Uh, what pound test were you looking for in the fluorocarbon?
I was gonna see what you had because currently I just have like regular 10-pound line on it, and so I need to change it out.
So, okay, you were talking about trying to replace all the line on your reel because I've seen people do that and it gets pricey that way. What
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of other people do is they'll just tie a little 2-foot piece as their tippet, so that way they go from their swivel to their lure or to their bait, or they'll actually do an Albright knot, tie directly to the main line with the fluorocarbon tippet and stuff like that. Um, Normally they'll jump up to like 15-pound mono or 20-pound mono, which the fluorocarbon is very abrasive, or it puts up with a lot of abrasion. You know, it's got a lot of abrasion resistance, so like mono is real soft and supple, where that fluorocarbon is kind of stiff.
Yeah,
But
he did say that I may not be able to cast as far.
so I really wouldn't use it as your main line on your reel because when you do that, yeah, it's going to hurt your casting. But if you put it on your tip, then that's the only part that's off the rod. You cast, you still get all the normal action that you're normally used to, and it's not as expensive because you can fill up a reel with regular mono for like $5 or less. You do a fluorocarbon, you're about 25, $30. You do it braid, then it can be the same thing, about 25 to $30. But with braid, you can also get a higher weight class of line with the smaller diameter. So like 100-pound braid is 20-pound mono diameter. So
We're fishing for reds, so
yes, for Babes on the Bay, are y'all going to be using croaker or y'all they're going to try to get you on some lures?
we were gonna do both. So I've got 2 poles. I was gonna bring one for artificial and one for live.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what kind of live they're talking about. I know that croaker was mentioned. Sometime one of the other girls said shrimp, but I know that it's probably going to be hard to get.
With the wind? Yeah. When is Babes on the Bay? This coming weekend or?
Next, it's the 16th and 17th.
Okay, so a lot can change between now and then. Like the weather could go from, 30 miles an hour wind to like 10 to 12s and be pretty awesome fishing. But lately it's been really, really windy out there and stuff like that. So I normally, if I go out there and it's real windy conditions, I tend to add a weight to it, 1/8 ounce, 3/4, 3/8, something, just so when I toss it there, it can actually sit and slow down
Mm-hmm.
rather than, with the live bait. I mean, if you don't have a drip sock out, you're still going to be moving real fast and stuff like that. Do you know if y'all strictly going to fish off the boat or are y'all going to be waiting?
Just off the boat.
Okay. Do you know what boat captain you're going to be working with? What I would highly recommend doing is ask him how he plans on fishing with y'all, and then buy your gear from that point. Because again, too, there's certain guys that fill their reel with fluorocarbon, but they're used to working that action. I personally have never filled a reel for myself to fish that way. I normally just, sorry, I own a shop and I'll still only use 2 or 3 feet of that and throw it in that sense. So that way, an $8 or $12 spool will last me months. And actually, got a bag over here to show you this. not thicker, but you see how stiff it is? Yeah, that's age. But what you would probably be looking for is like 20 pounds more carbon, but that's what you.
Okay. Well,
Now,
you talked to me a lot.
just, I'll tell you a little something here over here. These leaders, point blank, people put coffee on that, you know, well, here, it's fine. Here, pretty long. Like short, they, they're coming up. Fish come up first. Yeah. Brown. Yeah. Yeah. Really got a whole lot of business for real. Yeah, throw into the wing to get with the fish or that. Got it. All right, guys. So showing her some leaders, so she'll go over there checking those out. Wow, you got into a hammer. Yeah, it does see 24 to 48 inches, floral, uni to uni, or FG. Yes. Um, in a real program. Yep. Yeah, that was another one. Yeah, if you're in dirty water, you don't really see a difference between the regular mono and fluorocarbon and stuff like that. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you hold on to them. I'm cleaning weights over here, so I don't want to get your stuff dirty. But what size leader? 3?
3/8.
You're at 375.
Oh, big spender. You want me to use cash or card?
That's always good.
Can you break it 50?
Sure can. And that's my YouTube channel right there, called Team Hard Life. Well, I'll be. That's a good one to use. Yes, and actually that was one of the ones. So when you do the uni, like if you're attaching your main line, put a uni on this side, and your fluorocarbon on this side, you put another uni on that, and then they cinch down and they lock on each other. And so that you can use that one a lot. Yes, it's on there. Yes, ma'am. And we're also doing a fire drawing later on today. Uh, it's a $10 bike. And what it is, the way it works is I'm live on the channel like I am now, and I'll start writing everybody's name down. And we have that big float over there, that's called Bobby the Bobber. He actually got named by my subscribers. The big red float over there?
Uh-huh. I can't see it.
Yeah. So he opens up and we put all the tickets in there and I'll draw one name and it's winner take all. But if I'm like my work table right there, since it has all them weights, all that tackle going out, since I don't have no space, I'll do it over here on the computer and it'll be we call it the Wheel of Doom and it's just a name selector and whoever name it selects will be the winner of that deal. So,
Oh, nice.
and I've had guys win anywhere from $200 to $4,300 in an hour or so. So, yeah. And
All right.
so they,
So what time is that?
it'll be later on today after 6, probably closer to 7. So, and
I'll try to watch for sure.
roger that. And don't be afraid about asking your questions, especially there's a lot of guys in here that do bait fishing and stuff like that. So if you tell them, hey, this is the kind of fishing we're looking at doing, we're planning this and stuff like that, you'll see a lot of information come in there. We don't allow any trolling. So if it's legit knowledge, it stays on there. If it's not, they get put out real quick. We don't like that. So
Good to know. Thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it.
yes, ma'am. You have a good
What was
day.
your name?
I'm Albert.
Albert. I'm Nicole.
Nicole, nice to meet you. Yep. You have a blessed one.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, John, that was a good one. John says, okay, Oscar, we got too many Johns on the live. Yep, that it does. Let's see. Is Castnet legal in Texas and what size? Yes, Castnets are legal up to 7 foot. And that's the radius, not the diameter. So 7 foot is the radius. That's the halfway point. But there's also a stipulation. I think I know I've seen 7-footers with 1-inch mesh. I've actually used them, but I have not looked at the local or this year's fishing rules and guidelines for castnets. But I do know it's 7 foot. I actually had one that I would use just for catching horse mullet or stingrays, cow-nose stingrays. I used to throw it a lot for them. I would even catch devil rays with it, but I had a 7-footer with 1-inch mesh. Yeah. And it was $200 and something for the net, but it was so worth it. It would make up for itself after a few times of using it, especially catching cow-nose and stuff like that. And the beautiful thing about it is, because yes, stingrays have a barb and they tend to mess up nets, but because the mesh was so big, I really didn't lose a lot of mesh because of the stingray barb like that. So it did cut it, but it wasn't nowhere near the amount of damage that was done to a smaller net or the same size net with smaller diameter for the or the mesh size. There you go. So yeah, that's another key one right there. Knowing which net you need for which style of fishing you're doing. Obviously, Dusty was saying he has a Juju 7-foot ultralight, and it's amazing and to throw. Great for small bait fish in shallow water. That's the key word, shallow water. The net I was throwing on Bob Hall Pier when I caught all them jumbo shrimps, those big old prawns and stuff like that, that one had heavy net, and that one was actually, it was a pound and or 1.4 or 1.5 pounds per foot. What that means is on the outer edge of the netting where all the weights are, per foot of that line there would be a pound and something. So yeah, that net would weigh like 15, 20 pounds, if not more, that you would have to lift up and throw. But it was also made too to where it's heavy like that, so that way it can travel through deep water fast and catch a lot more fish and of a bigger size. So I had mine for a specific reason. So when you're buying a cast net, guys, it's not just, oh, I got a cast net, it's going to catch everything I throw at it. No, it's got to be designed for the style of fishing you intend on doing with it. Yep. Uh, Now, granted, that's also, like I said, that's also the net that I used when I was catching the shrimp like that. I was using it, and it had the 3/8 inch mesh um, or the half inch. I don't remember. It was one of those two, but I had all the different sizes of that type of cast net for the reasons of one, catching menhaden, or two, mullet, cownos, ribbon fish. I mean, now ribbon fish, those would jack up your net big time. It is bad. It is bad, bad. So, but I'm gonna give y'all a heads up, guys. I've been live for about 55 minutes. I'm gonna end the video here once I get over an hour. The only reason I'm ending the video, guys, is because I will be live later on this afternoon with our fire drawing for today. A lot of monies came in for the fire drawing on Friday, and I didn't do it. So if you paid on Friday, your money will be rolled into the drawing today. So just giving you a heads up on that, guys. If you didn't pay today and your name gets called, it's because I already have money from Friday's fire drawing in there. And again, too, we get over $500. A name will be selected from the second chance winnings. And then also, too, if it gets over $1,500, Sharkami is donating a $150 kicker. So I'm excited for that, too. Obviously, if we get over the 2,500, I throw in another $100 kicker, and we'll see how it goes from there. So. Wow. So definitely, yeah, depending on where you're at, nets are legal and or illegal. So. Yep. Alton, do you remember what the weight per foot was on that net you were throwing? I want to say the heaviest one that I have thrown was 1.5 something pounds per foot. I'd say 1.5 something because it wasn't exactly 1.5. I think it was like 1.55 or 1.54, something like that. And I would throw that net from shore and or from the pier. I've actually thrown it to where I had 2 ropes, if not 3. It was 2 or 3 ropes, and I would throw it, obviously with the wind to my back, and I could extend all 2 or 3 ropes. I've actually got video here on the channel of doing so. So if you want to go check that out, comment on there. Hey, I found the video, but I also have the videos on there when I was catching menhaden, and it was so many in the net that they floated the net to the surface. And what's crazy, this is what's crazy. All the fish are swimming up, and they're up against the surface. None of them turned to swim down to get out from under the net. Like, we could sit there and watch them. And they just floated up the net. And they just stayed there, and they're sitting there battling, trying to get away from the net. All they had to do was swim down. It was crazy. Oh, I use hardheads. I like gaff top more than hardhead for bait, though. That's for sure. Roger that. That's good. We came in a white box that he got from Academy. I don't know. I haven't bought a cast net from Academy in probably 10 years. It has been a long, long time. Betts nets, primarily the ones that we could find that were decently priced and still made with great product. Another one, Barracuda nets, which we used to sell here when we could get them, at dealer pricing and stuff like that, but that one kind of fell off. So definitely looking for when Bob Hall Pier gets back up and running, because man, I do miss the season, and right now it's happening kind of deal. Uh, when the shrimping season opens up, a lot of those shrimp run from deep water to the shallow water, and we'll be out there catching or cast netting those big old shrimp. And since you're on the Gulf, there's no limit to how much you can catch. So I left the pier several times at like 80 to 100 pounds of shrimp, and I literally went out there for shrimping. I didn't even I took rods, on the by chance I would catch something big, but for the most part, I was out there primarily concentrating on throwing the cast net for that type of bait and stuff. So that is a good way to deter them from biting your hook by using bigger, like on the big gaff tops, say, the 15 to 18 inches. What I would do is I'd cut off the head and then the tail, and then I would put chunks about that big. So, you had a good chunk of bait, and I would throw that on there. And that reduces the amount of fish you catch, including catfish and stuff like that. But it still was great bait for shark fishing and stuff. So oh, nice. When did they say that's going to happen, Brandon? Yeah, yeah. And actually, that under that light is where I actually caught some of my biggest trout too. They would just sit there. They were massive. Normally, real early in the morning for me is when I would catch the bigger ones. Um, the 30 inches and stuff like that. But again, too, I can't wait to see what happens once that pier reopens back up, because between now and it finally getting done, the fish are learning that there's structure there again. So the first days that it opens up should be insane fishing. I remember the last time that Bob Hall Pier closed and it reopened, we were out there. We were one of the first people to get out there when it opened up. And there was so much fish. If you didn't catch a fish, it was because you didn't have no line in the water. We were throwing bare hooks, just ripping them through the water, and we were catching redfish like that. Zabinki rigs with the 4 hooks. We caught 3 slot reds at one time on one Zabinki rig with 3 hooks. Probably would have hit 4 if we hadn't trying to get them, to the net before they got off the hook. But yeah, slide lines with 2 or 3 hooks, you would come up with 2 or 3 reds. Slot reds. They were any kind of bait you put out there, as long as live, fresh, or even no bait, just ripping through there, you would hook up a monster fish, or not monster fish, just a fish. We caught a bunch of reds, shark, king, cobia, jacks, bluefish, blue runners. I mean, it was insane. So you will see me out there on the first day it opens up if the weather's right, obviously, because I want to record. But yeah, it'll be insane fishing, guys. Insane. Oh, they're here. They're just going to start to congregate around the structure there. That's going to be the thing. So, right to that. You and me both, Brandon. You and me both. So, hey, Brandon, how are your ankles, boss? I know I was telling some customers this weekend that with the amount of seaweed that was out there, and you going out there and clearing lines with Robert and stuff like that, that you were talking about that your ankles were a little bit chafed up from the amount of seaweed that you were walking through and stuff like that. That's the part I don't like, when they don't close it correctly and it gets all that extra one. That slows me down big time. So I get the ones that are decently cleaned off of there before I go back and start slowing down having to clean the other ones. But again, guys, like I said, it was hey, Brandon, too, if they're sore because of you had small cuts that got kind of infected, this is what I've done. And I've shown it to you when I did that alligator guard tournament up north. My feet were swollen like footballs. They wouldn't even fit into the sandals that I was using. What I did was I poured Clorox on them, and it stings and it burns, but man, it within minutes you saw the swelling just go down. So it killed a lot of the bacteria and stuff like that on there and stuff. But again, too, you know, they say Clorox is bad, but like I said, I've been doing it for probably, shoot, 20 years now. And I will. Like, if I have bad cuts or whatever, I clean it off with Clorox just because I can get it on there, leave it on there for a few seconds, and then clean it right off and stuff like that. So it'll foam up just like hydrogen peroxide does. And just remember, whatever clothes you are wearing that day, you know, watch out because they will bleach your clothes for sure. And I don't use the cheap Clorox. I use like actual Clorox, not the cheaper stuff that you find out there to compete with Clorox. So yes, plain non-scented. Yes, sir. And also too, not the stuff that says splashless. Like, no, it's got to be the regular Clorox on that one. Buddy Ron Gentry up in Galveston actually showed that to me and Damon years ago when we had came off the beach. Damon's foot had gotten swollen because he stepped on the tail end of a stingray or a crab or something like that, and it cut the bottom of his foot. So it was infected really bad, like it was bad. And then he put Clorox on it. Within a few minutes, it was gone. The swelling literally went down. So check it out. Let us know if that works out for you, boss. Well, some might not have that luxury there, John. Over here, we're going for, you know, blackfin tuna or yellow tuna, or, you know, mostly they say we're going for yellowfin. They end up catching blackfin and an occasional bluefin. Um, yeah. All right, guys. So I've already gone over the hour, like I said I would. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video because I'll be live later on this afternoon for tonight's fire drawing. Again, if you're already prepaid, I will put that in there, but you can still add more if you want to. I seen Dusty paid in on Friday and he added today, so I'm just kind of giving you a heads up, guys. I think there's a few other guys that paid through Zelle and stuff like that. So Dave says they use Clorox for poison ivy there in the Midwest. There you go. Wow. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all have a good one. I'll talk to y'all later. I got a lot of weights to clean up. A lot of weights. Later, guys. Oh, hey, remember, I got in the description here. Start calling those numbers. Start sending those emails, guys. We need to annoy the hell out of them, guys, for sure. Later, guys.